Hi everyone. This morning I would like to speak to you on three emotions that we all have, or we definitely go through sometimes in our lives. We get fearful and we get anxious. Number two, we get tired and we get discouraged. And number three, we also sometimes are accusatory, but at the same time we are also afraid. And let me tell you, this emotion is not something limited to normal people like you and me. Great men of God, tough men, and people who we think would never fall or never be subdued go through similar types or similar times. You know, when we look at things around us, a lot of things can get us lonely and depressed. And the title for my message today is Lonely and Depressed. It's a very depressing title, by the way. But let me tell you, it doesn't need to be so all the time. But since we are mortals, we are human beings, we are bound to go through those emotions sometime or the other. Things around us disturb us so much, and that is if you have a conscience and if you have a right spirit, it will disturb, and it's good to be disturbed. And it must disturb men. For example, for what's happening in a neighboring country like Afghanistan. Are things changing? We do not know. COVID began last year. Have things changed? Not much, but they are changing. Sometime back we heard about a young child who was raped and killed and murdered. We heard something like that even the year before. Many a time, most of us hear things or go through times which are desperate. But let me tell you, we can trust in somebody who is immortal. And that's what I wish to read to you this morning. When I'm talking to you about one of the greatest men of God in the Bible, and we read about him in 1 Kings chapter 19, where I'll tell you, in chapter 19 and verse 3, it says, Elijah was afraid and fled for his life. And mind you, he fled for his life after he was victorious the previous day. At that time, King Ahab complained to his wicked wife Jezebel that this is what Elijah has done to the prophets of Baal. 450 of them were dead. And miraculously, we see that happening in the previous chapter, in 1 Kings chapter 18. And Elijah was gung-ho. We see him running so fast that he reached the city before King Ahab reached the city in his chariot. But soon after that, these three emotions that I spoke to you about, being anxious, being afraid, being fearful, being tired, and being accusatory, and also, again, being afraid of what's going to happen to him. So while we read that in chapter 19 and verse 10, Elijah replied, I have zealously served the Lord, but the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars and killed every one of your prophets. I'm the only one left, and now they are trying to kill me, Lord. Many times we are on similar lines. We tell God, I've done so much for you, and now I'm done. God tells Elijah way down in the same chapter, in verse 18, that I have preserved 7,000 men like you. So friends, we are not the only one, or we may not be insulated from these emotions that I just mentioned to you about. We are not immune to persecution. What happened to Paul and Silas? They were put in the dungeon, but yet they prayed and praised God. How was it possible for them to sing and praise God while they were beaten up so badly with wooden clubs? We see the same happening to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the book of Daniel, when they were thrown into the furnace of fire, which was heated up 7 times more than usual. But yet they did not give up on God. I'm reminded of that beautiful song, Trust in the Lord and don't despair. He is a friend so true. No matter what your troubles are, Jesus will see you through. There is nothing that we can be proud about. There is nothing that we can pride on. There's nothing that we can be accusatory about and tell God, listen, I've done so much. God says there are 7,000 more, there are thousands more. My friends, may God help you and bless you through this day. Let's continue to trust in Him and know that He is with us and will continue to take care of us. God bless you.